Welcome to episode 189 of the Real World Nutrition Podcast, Sipping Smarter, Mindful Drinking for Summer Parties. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. I'm Shelley, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of Real World Nutrition. Now, today I'm talking about a topic that I know is not for everyone. So, as you're listening to this, you're free to listen to the whole thing. However, it is talking about alcohol consumption and how to do it smarter, being more mindful of it during the summer season. So, if this isn't for you, go ahead and skip it, of course. So, as this is coming out, we're just a week out from the unofficial start of summer. Memorial Day weekend, at least here in the United States. So I thought I'd address this topic because it comes up a lot during the warm weather socializing, at least in my circles, alcohol consumption. Now, I want to get something straight first, even though I said if you don't drink alcohol, this may not be for you. But I also want to say in this episode, it isn't about whether you should or should not drink. That's a personal choice. I'm not telling people to consume alcohol. I'm not telling people not to. My focus is on how much and how often, especially in the summer season when things tend to feel a bit more relaxed. Now, of course, people do consume alcohol on holidays and all kinds of other occasions, but as I said, this is more of a summer specific approach. So, for many people, alcohol is part of socializing, and this is the season of weddings, having a beer at a backyard barbecue, going to the baseball game, vacations where you may have more drinks. Last year, I remember in one day, we went to a birthday party and two graduation parties in the same day, and all of them had opportunities to consume alcohol. Not saying that we did that, but I just want to say, hey, I have occasions where it can be at every single experience. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy yourself. I'm not saying anybody or anyone should tell you not to enjoy yourself. But again, here is to offer the practical tips on helping you drink mindfully and feel your best during and after these events. Now, last month I did an episode on alcohol, stress, and health, finding balance. And I'll link that in the show notes. But if you haven't listened to that already, I do recommend giving that one a listen also. That one was focused on how alcohol fits into our routines during stressful times, like winding down after a long day, or how it affects our stress. But today I am talking about alcohol in the context of celebration, when stress might not be the issue, but excess might creep in instead. So let's talk summer and more drinks and why it happens. So, of course, summer, again in the Northern Hemisphere, in the United States, is time when people tend to let loose. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. We all need moments to relax and enjoy ourselves. And in the United States, we only get a few weeks vacation if we're lucky, unlike in some other places where you get the whole summer off. We'd love that. But I just want to address what this summer topic might include. So I alluded to some of this already. Graduation parties from high school to college. Weddings, of course, weddings tend to be more often in the summer. Cookouts and pool parties for special celebrations or just because. Beach trips, vacations, you could go to an all-inclusive resort or a cruise or any type of vacation. Or even just long weekends with friends and family. Our summers are started with Memorial Day, end with Labor Day, and we have the Independence Day holiday in the middle. So that's not uncommon that people are out camping, going to the lake, going to the beach, going to somewhere else, and these settings can have alcohol included in them. And it could be flowing freely. It can be the norm to have a drink in your hand. And that's not a judgment. But again, I want to highlight why we want to be mindful, especially during summer, and why some of these extra layers in the summertime. So heat, hydration, and dehydration. So the first big factor that comes to mind in the summer is, of course, the heat. And alcohol is a diuretic. So that means it causes the body to increase fluid loss through urine. There's the chemical reactions that happen in the body, and it causes us to lose more fluid or release more fluid. And then you combine that with the hot temperatures, outdoor activities, possibly sweating more than usual. And there's all combination, that's a quicker route to dehydration. And signs of even mild dehydration, I should say, can mimic being buzzed, like having some fatigue, lightheadedness, and even some headache. And then this can also lead to overdrinking without realizing it. So the being in the heat or the mild dehydration may contribute to over drinking, again, without realizing it. So here's a simple tip. Probably know what I'm going to say. Alternate alcoholic beverages with water or a no-calorie drink. And sometimes I'll even say, hey, depending on the situation, if you've been exercising or you're in a sweaty situation, maybe adding an electrolyte beverage. So not just plain water, but an electrolyte beverage. Because with that increased urine output can be the increased sodium output. With the increased sweating is the increased sodium output. But really, alternate that alcoholic beverage with something that is not the diuretic. So make it a habit to have a full glass of water or the electrolyte beverage between drinks, whether it is a cocktail, whether it is a beer or cider or wine. If you're outside in the sun, double down on the hydration. If you're more active, be very conscious about the hydration. So another one I want to address is sugar, calories, and the vacation drinks. So talking about those vacation drinks, and I know this tends to be cliche, but talking about those frozen margaritas, pina coladas, those mixed drinks like Mai Tais, or a fruity punch that who knows what's in it. These are some of those things, at least in my world, is reserved strictly for the vacation. And it's because you're letting loose and not thinking about what all is going on. So again, I want to emphasize these are not, quote, bad drinks, okay? I'm not saying they're healthy. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying let's not call them bad. But with these, it's easy to forget how much added sugar and calories they can pack in. So this is not to make it be something you need to feel guilty about, just awareness. An example of a large frozen margarita, now large can vary by where you are or what that means, but this can easily top 500 or 600 calories. And most of that is from the sugar. Add some chips, guacamole, other snack foods, and you could have just consumed a meal's worth of calories before dinner. This isn't to call out for you to count every calorie. Oh my goodness, not when you're on vacation, but not really ever. Again, awareness. What's in your glass can help you make more intentional choices. And even though I said frozen margaritas or pina coladas, you can get those on the rocks. It's still going to have the same amount of calories, just isn't going to have the ice mixed into it. But these are just those things that I call them the umbrella drinks, those things where you are in very specific situations having them. And that's not to say you can only have them on vacation. It just tends to be a time where people tend to let loose and let those things happen more frequently. So have the fun drink. Then make sure you still hydrate. Maybe swap it out with a lighter option after you've had that fun drink, or just limit it to one. And then if you want to skip the sugary stuff, still have the cocktail with fewer calories, something with soda, club soda mixed in it. Again, it's not to say you have to do this, just aware of how you can have some refreshment or a cold drink and still be enjoying it without having to worry about packing on those extra excess calories. Now, let's talk about alcohol, appetite, and some of that late night eating. So, another summer trend tends to be eating more after drinking. So, a couple things here. Alcohol can increase appetite. Alcohol can reduce your inhibition around food. So, when you have a combined appetite, increased appetite, and a reduced inhibition, that is, around food, boy, that's more likely for you to be saying yes to extra snacks, reaching repeatedly for chips or snack mix or whatever it may be. Fried foods, maybe. Or a second helping, even if you're not really needing it. Again, not always a bad thing. This is part of the fun. But over time, it can contribute to that common experience of coming home from a vacation and feeling like your clothes fit a little differently. And if you've ever said, I didn't eat that much, but I still gained weight, think about if alcohol might have played a role, even indirectly. So let's circle back to mindful, not being throwing out the morality thing here. All of this I've shared with zero shame and guilt. Now, there's going to be some people out there going, what are you talking about, more than one drink? I have a margarita and I can't even finish it. Great. I'm talking to the individuals who do let loose. I'm not here to tell you give it up. I'm not telling you don't have that beach margarita when the person, or the pool margarita when the person comes by and asks if you want something to drink. Turning down the toast at a graduation or a wedding. It's here to say you can enjoy these things and still feel in control of your choices. That's mindful drinking. It's about intention and considering how you are feeling, and again, what you want to feel like afterwards. So I'm going to give some tips here on if you're going to a party this weekend or any time during the summer, or any time during the year, really. Maybe plan ahead. Eat something before you go. So I'm not saying to have a full-blown meal or everything, but have something before you go, so if the first thing you have is alcohol, it doesn't hit you on an empty stomach. Or when you arrive, you can decide, I'm going to eat something first before I have that drink. Before you go, decide how many you want to have. The other thing is, in my household, we go to a situation, a party, and depending on where it is, like that day we had the 3 places, we said, how long are we going to be here? What time do we want to leave by? And that helps with keeping things in check. The other thing, sip slowly. Sip slowly. So some of those sugary ones can be really easy to suck down quickly. But really keep in mind, be aware, slow down. Don't forget to alternate with water or an electrolyte drink. So where I live, bottled water is still quite prolific at these social settings. And so you can have that water, or if you want, there's plenty of the electrolyte powders that you can just pour one of those in a bottle of water. They're made for those half-pint bottles, not half-pint, 1-pint bottles, 500 milliliters. That's what they're made for, okay? And then don't forget to be sun savvy. Don't forget to wear the sunscreen, take a hat, whatever you need to do. That's, of course, besides the point here. But I just want to say that there's been times where I've seen people pass out in the sun, fall asleep, and wake up fried on one side of their body. All right. A quick note, just again, if you listen to this and you're a person who does not drink, is choosing not to drink, never have, or choosing for various reasons, it's not part of your lifestyle, great. Thanks for listening all the way through. But you'll probably still encounter situations where others are drinking. Or you could be the designated driver if this is some of those social settings where you're coming back and forth. So it's okay to set your own boundaries, bring your own beverage. Sparkling water, put that in a wine glass. There's lots of things where you can have something in your hand. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic beverage, and nobody else needs to know. Not that it's their business. And if you're someone who's exploring the sober curious approach, this is becoming more and more popular. This could be a great time to experiment with some of those non-alcoholic options. There's more alcohol-free beers, wines, cocktails. There's a place in my town where the whole bar is a non-alcoholic cocktail place. And I know lots of people, when they're going out, are choosing not to drink for various reasons, and they're still having a quote cocktail. And it's very, very fun, and nobody knows the difference. And I'm just saying nobody knows the difference because there's sometimes when people are choosing not to drink, people want to ask why, want to get up in the business about it, and want to know or assume various things. Again, it helps you fit in if you happen to be around nosy people. And if you're one of those nosy people, don't make assumptions. You don't know. Okay, and it's still, again, not the business of you to know why somebody is not drinking. So, with some final thoughts here, just keep in mind as we're kicking off summer, have fun, enjoy the celebration, enjoy it. Stay hydrated. Boy, that stay hydrated will help you the same day, that later that night, the next morning. And just sip smarter with planning ahead, being very mindful here, and that's helpful. So again, you don't have to give up anything. And you may be mad at me because I told you how many calories that margarita is. What I'm saying is stay connected to what you want and how you want to feel and what supports your well-being. Okay, that's it for today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful, and share it with a friend who might be heading into this season of parties and trips, and they talk about how they feel after they come back from vacation, and it's not a good thing with how they feel. Share this with them. And then again, if you didn't hear it, don't forget to check out last month's episode on alcohol, stress, and health, finding balance. All right, everyone, whenever you're listening to this, have a great week, have a good weekend, have a good summer, whatever season it may be. Take care, and bye for now.